Hey guys, Jose again. Wanted to show you guys basically the Terrasteel part of Britannia at this point. So now that we've gotten some sustainable mana, which you can see the system was working here just fine. The pools have filled up since a few hours ago, and you can even see that a few other things around here are looking pretty good. I think it's about time we get started with some nice Terrasteel production. So we're going to need a Terrestrial Agglomeration Plate. So for that we're going to need a handful of lapis. We're going to need a few runes, various runes from Britannia, as you're going to see here. Most of the prime runes, none of those compound runes. So let's grab everything we need for the rune of water. Also going to grab a block of iron so that we can turn it into a block of mana steel to make the agglomeration plate. So go ahead and toss everything together, get the infusion started, grab a living rock, slap it together, and there we have our rune of water. Go ahead and get our rune of mana, our rune of earth, our rune of fire, and our rune of air. So with all 5 of those together, we have everything we need to make our agglomeration plate, and it needs to go on this little checkerboard of 4 lapis blocks and some more living rock. Now I ran out of living rock, so I had to go get some more. And now in order to power this, you actually use sparks. You don't send mana bursts into them from a mana spreader. So I'm going to craft 3 sparks. You just stick 1 spark over the pool you want it to drain from, and 1 spark on the agglomeration plate itself. And then you feed it 1 mana diamond, 1 mana pearl, and 1 mana steel ingot. And that will yield you 1 terrasteel. Now in this case I had enough mana to actually go ahead and craft 4 ingots because this actually takes up half of a mana pool's worth of mana each transaction. So I'll go ahead and get started. Fast forward into the first ingot, the second ingot, and I'm also going to upgrade my band of mana to a greater band of mana. And our third ingot. And so now at this point I'd like to take a break to take a look and see kind of what we can move on with as far as getting our some of our further progress going with mana storage. So I'm going to go ahead and grab a few mana spreaders, make a few more mana pools, and make a mana distributor, as you can see here. So we're just going to toss down the distributor with 3 mana pools on it. That way we can have a good stash of mana later. I was about to go ahead and put down that mana spreader there, but I decided to wait until I've got the last few things ready. So I'll go ahead and put down my alchemy catalyst as well. Now would be an ideal time to get that done. A good place to put it too, that way it's got its own pool. We don't have to worry about accidentally mixing ingredients like I did last time. So I want to get this setup here moved, because this is actually exactly where I want to put my portal to Alfheim, because I would like to move on to some of that at this point. So I'm going to move my runic altar stuff later. I'll place that down here in just a few minutes. But I'll go ahead and get started with the pylons. We'll start with mana pylons, and then go on with the natura pylons. So the entire process of making your portal to Alfheim requires exactly 1 ingot worth of terrasteel nuggets. It uses 9 nuggets, which of course is an ingot. So you're also going to need 3 glimmering wood and some other living wood, just plain living wood. And I'm going to use Britannia's visualization feature to kind of give me an idea of where the mana pools need to go. I know the structure of the actual portal itself. It's always where the mana pools go in conjunction with that I always forget. So this is really helpful because it shows you exactly where which blocks need to go, even if you do misplace them like I just did. Whoops. Gives you an idea of exactly where everything's going to end up. And one thing I want to point out is look at how the natura pylons look here versus how they look after you actually place down a natura pylon. But I'll show you that here in just a minute. Let me get the 2 mana pools that I forgot to make earlier. So the visualization goes away for those, and then watch. See, they look completely different. They don't have that gold band around them anymore. I don't know if this is a 1.10 render change or 1.9 or even 1.8 change in how they looked, because I know rendering was a huge pain even for me. I'm a modder myself and had a very hard time getting used to the model system once it began. So once you're done with your structure though, the structure will say structure complete in the chat and the visualization will end. So at this point, now that we've got that done, I'm going to use my ring of mana here, or my band of mana rather, to dump some mana into these mana pools. Just going to fast forward a little bit because waiting for this to go through is just kind of boring. But we'll run over to this other pool as well, dump off some mana in that pool. Wait for it to empty a little bit, because you're going to need a decent amount of mana in these mana pools to keep your portal to Alfheim going. So you have some options. You can always turn it off, but the most substantial cost in opening or in the portal of Alfheim is opening the portal. So it's mostly suggested that you come up with a renewable way of producing mana and then just allow it to stay that way. Now the reason I haven't set up mana spreaders, you'll see shortly, is because I don't actually have a way to get them down underground very easily. So we're going to toss my Lexica Botanica in there, open up the Elven Guarde research tab, and a lot more research in Botania. If you thought you had to go through and do everything in Botania, then this step just made your job way, 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 way harder. It adds tons of stuff all selected in green. That way you can see what's new and what's been added by the Elven Guarde. So we're going to start with some more sparks. Sparks can be used to travel or transport mana just as well as mana spreaders do. And we're going to go with an augment for the sparks. Now augments for sparks allow you to change kind of how they work. I'm going to go for the dominant one so that it pulls all of the mana from any other mana pools that also have a spark on them if the spark that is on them doesn't have an augment itself. So in other words, these two mana pools won't pull from each other because both of these mana pools are going to have a dominant spark on them, or a dominant augment on them. But if they didn't, or if one did and one didn't, then I would not have that. So we're going to grab everything I need. I'm going to need to make some pixie dust here. I'm also going to need to grab basically just a few other things. I end up needing a rune of fire, or another one. So of course those crafted in pairs was kind of unfortunate, but let's just get everything together for that. We'll grab everything we need for the mana steel, and grab the nether brick, and the gunpowder, and the nether wart. Toss everything together. Of course I need another mana spreader to set up my runic altar again, because I broke that earlier, but never did put it back down. So we'll grab the living rock I'll need later too, that way we don't have to worry about it. I find putting the runic altar in close proximity to your mana spreader to be very, very, very profitable as far as saving time on the process of crafting, because it gets a little slow. So now that we have all of our ingredients together, we'll go ahead and toss them all on the altar, wait just a little while for it to craft up, and once we get this mana shortage solved as well, it should be ready to go. So there we go, it's just about done. I'm just going to throw in my ring to give it just a smidge more mana. It was pretty much through. And there we go, the fire runes are done. So I'm going to go ahead and get everything together. Last thing I'm missing here is 2 mana steel ingots in order to make 2 of these dominant sparks, spark augments. Of course, missing mana for this too, so we'll toss it in from the ring. The ring I'm kind of using as a mana tablet because at this point they function identically, and the ring stores a lot more. And I'm passively generating mana into the ring using my band of aura that I made previously. So it's a little bit tricky to get these on with the mana pylons. I remember the sparks used to render above the Natura pylons, and I said mana pylon, I meant Natura. They used to render above the Natura pylons, but now they render inside of the Natura pylons, so you kind of have to jump and get in there. Now you'll see my portal just died because I ran out of mana in this pool, and I think even maybe the other one. But as soon as I put that dominant spark in, you notice mana transfers immediately because it came from this pool and the pool to the left of it. Now the Terrasteel crafting does not get affected, and so that should be pretty good and ready to go.